This Trump thing with nurses, it's not an insult. What it did was expose how broken college pricing really is. Let me be clear. I'm not commenting on this as a politician. I'm speaking as someone who spent years inside the economics of higher education. I created College Money Academy. It's part of my overall financial caffeine brand. I've worked with financial planning firms. I've been on major podcasts. I was interviewed by the media several times. I've stood beside the head of enrollment at a major Division I university on a joint project. And after all of it, I've come to one conclusion. The government's involvement in student loans didn't solve the problem. It made it worse. Far worse. Most people don't know this, but the pivot point was actually in 1992 when the FAFSA system and federal funding became the backbone of college financing. Once the government guaranteed unlimited money, universities stopped competing on price. They started competing on amenities, on expansion, and on prestige, and pricing didn't come down. They skyrocketed. Families weren't given access. They were handed debt and told to be grateful. And that's not access. That's a financial trap. Now, recently, there's been a lot of emotion around changes tied to certain advanced degree funding. But here's what most people don't understand. When the government stops pumping unlimited money into a system, that system gets forced to face reality. If universities want to keep certain programs, they can't just pass the bill to the families anymore. They have to price them at what people can actually afford. That's how pressure works. That's how markets work. That's how costs finally come down. In College Money Academy, I teach one foundational truth. Colleges are businesses, education is their product, and their pricing is shaped by who's funding them. Change the funding model, and you change the pricing model. And that's what's missing with this whole conversation about Trump and nurses. Now let me bring this home because this one hits close to my heart. My wife is a nurse. She's worked night shift for 25 years. I've watched her miss holidays. I've watched her go into work exhausted, certainly coming home exhausted. I've watched her give everything to care for other people. And I've seen 3 of her close friends go back to school later in life for advanced nursing degrees and take on massive student loan debt in their 40s and 50s. Not because they were reckless, not because they made bad decisions, but because they were told this is the only way. That's not a system helping nurses. That's a system exploiting them. So when funding changes put pressure back on universities instead of working families, that's not an attack on nurses. That's correction. Because no profession should need $100,000 in debt just to serve people better. My wife and I have lived this. We've seen what it does to families, to marriages, to mental health. And the only thing that fixes it is changing the economics. Not more loans, not more debt, certainly not more government money, but real pressure on the institutions that keep raising prices because they know someone else will pay. Nurses deserve better, teachers deserve better, families deserve better. And until we treat higher education like an economic system instead of an emotional one, the people who sacrifice the most will keep paying the highest price.